All right, guys, welcome to the M3 podcast where business owners come to learn how to scale their business and make more money because that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. All right, we got two of my awesome friends in here today. You guys are in for a treat. I promise you that. We got Mike and Jay. So yeah, let's jump right into it, guys. Just tell us a little bit of who you are, what you do, and then we'll go down that road.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having us, Irving. This is fun.
Yeah,
It's kind of like we're just hanging out on a normal day.
yeah,
But
for sure, man.
just to start it off, my name's Mike.
And of course, I'm Jay.
And we started investing in real estate. So we are real estate investors based out of Pennsylvania. And we started investing in real estate right around December of 2020. So we've been doing this about 3 years now. We primarily focus on creative financing, which is exactly why we're here with Irving today. But outside of that, we have a team of about 4 or 5 people. We wholesale, we buy properties all throughout the United States.
And we do this full time for
And we
2
do it
years
full
now.
time.
Awesome. Fantastic. So with that being said, I'm kind of curious, right? Because obviously we've chit chat a little bit, and we've had the pleasure of meeting in person once that I can remember. Was it twice at this point?
I
I
think
know
it,
we met up at the meetup in Newark for sure.
and then we were in Florida together.
Okay. Yep. Exactly. Right. And so yeah, I mean, we've gotten to chit chat a little bit, but obviously I don't know as much as I would like to know about you guys. So this is really as much of a treat for me as it is for everybody that's going to be listening and watching this, right? So what did you guys do before you got into real estate? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was an accountant. I used to work for a venture capital firm doing like
Hmm.
bookkeeping and stuff like that, data entry. Um,
Yeah.
did that for like 3 or 4 years right out of college. So,
Okay.
side note, me and Jay met in college here in Philly, where we're at right now,
Nice.
and we've been down here since.
Yeah, and so I was a real estate paralegal, but I was on the commercial side of things.
Okay.
So we got that
Gotcha.
the corporate background, but
Right.
lo and behold, that didn't last too long because
Hmm.
it's grueling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, I agree with you 100%. I had a little bit of taste of kind of that corporate America, before I got into, what I do or I guess I still technically do. I'm on my way out, but what I do on the W2 side, right? Um yeah, so let me ask you this. What was it for you guys that kind of drove you from that corporate America, that, quote, quote, cubicle job, the clocking in and clocking out 9 to 5? What was it that kind of took you from that into the world of entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. So I kind of have to throw it, I think both of us, honestly, all at COVID-19. So
Okay.
we were working in the offices prior to everything that happened. And then we all wind up getting sent home, and we were working from home for close to a year. And then after a year of working from home, and while we were working from home, we had started the business. We really had started to gain traction and learned everything that we were doing. And we were gaining a lot of consistency in terms of doing deals monthly, starting to build a team. And then all of a sudden, they emailed both of us right around the same time, which was like in spring of 22, saying that we had to go back to the office.
No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So we looked at each other, and I actually got written approval that I can stay working from home, and Jay didn't. And we were at the time, we were really working together in majority of the roles.
Okay.
So without Jay being around and vice versa, basically everything that we worked for the past year or so would have honestly went down the drain. So Jay decided to quit in like April of
I
22.
love it. I love it.
And then about a month later, I was like, yeah, no shot. No way. I'm gonna...
He didn't even last that long. I can't even say it was a month.
Yeah.
I'm not going back.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
Honestly,
love it.
what really was the turning table, though, because like everybody says, yeah, quit your job, do this, do that. some people love what they do, and
Hmm.
some people make great money doing what they do. But
Yeah.
we got to the point where in our business, we had made Jay's salary in about 6 months.
Nice.
And I knew if we both went full time, we probably can double what we were doing at that point.
Right.
Um, and then honestly, on top of that, to keep it 100% real, I wound up losing my dad during COVID.
Mm.
And I had to actually take care of my mom and my brother and, you
Okay.
know, provide for the family. So honestly, it kind of came down to my job wasn't allowing me to take time off
Mm.
or spend that time with the family that I needed to during that. So it was kind of like a mix of personal decisions and then business decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. I'm, sorry to hear about your father.
Thanks,
That's
man.
unfortunate for sure. Um, but like they say, everything has a silver lining, right? Everything happens for a reason, and when certain doors are closed, obviously other doors are open, and obviously, you guys have had phenomenal success up until this point. So, you were kind of, maybe pushed a little bit in a couple different ways to, you know, go a little bit faster than maybe you would have gone on your own if you wouldn't have gotten that little nudge. But
Ex-
hey, that's I guess that was what was in the cards for you guys, right?
Exactly. It's all for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, just like you said, we're here for a reason right now. It was pretty cool. Right after we both quit, like in June. So I quit on a Friday and we booked a flight to Puerto Rico the following
Let's go.
Monday.
Let's
And
go.
we were down there for a month. We were staying with her grandparents, which
I
was
love it.
awesome.
I love it. Look, that's the way to quit, man.
That's it. I was like,
That's
we're
the
making
that's the
exit.
way to quit. Like, listen, I'm not coming back, and not only that, I'm hopping on a flight and I'm going to Puerto Rico for a month.
Yep.
How about that?
We were
I
making
love it.
an exit.
I love it.
So
If listen, if I were ever to quit a job again in my life, which God willing I won't have to because I don't plan on working for anyone else ever again, that's exactly how I'm gonna do it. I'm dropping the mic and I'm booking a flight. That's it.
yep, exactly, man.
Deuces. So how did you guys how did you guys get into real estate? Was obviously you guys were working from home, it was COVID. How was it that you came across real estate? Did you guys kind of experiment in some other types of businesses before you got into real estate? How did that work out?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that is. So prior to even beginning working from home, so growing up, my family had a couple small properties in the town that I'm from in North Jersey,
Okay.
and they ran it real mom and pop. And honestly, I hated it because I was the handyman with my dad.
Oh man.
Yeah, old school stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nothing was ever outsourced.
Mm-hmm.
We're repainting the apartment. Well, that's me and my dad on the weekend,
Grab
right?
grab
So
grab a brush and a roller.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, meanwhile, on the other side, I was working for like Top Dogs, right? I worked for the biggest car wholesaling company in the United States. So
Oh, wow.
I was like right hand to the owner and the what was called comptroller. So I was
Okay.
seeing like what it was to run your own business.
Gotcha.
And I always wanted to invest in real estate. So when I went to college, went into the legal field, I did a rotation in the law firm,
Hmm.
ended up in real estate, and I was seeing these big people, like just big people all the time coming in, nice clothes, nice, car, whatever. So I was always nudging him on the side, like, we really need to invest.
and then
Right.
from my
Right.
prior experience, I was like, hell no, there's
Yeah.
no way.
You were still scarred by the paintbrushes.
Yep, exactly. And
Yeah.
then living in Philly, ever since we've been down here since like 2014, it's been getting gentrified like crazy. So after college, we wound up getting an apartment, doing the normal post college thing. You get an
Yeah.
apartment, you get a dog, you have,
Yeah. Yeah.
you do the whole thing. And while we're sitting there, we start to see next door to where we were living. And I always tell this story. I took Roman, our dog, out for a walk one day during lunch, and I'm taking him for a walk. And as I'm coming out of the apartment, the guy who's flipping the house next door pulls up in a brand new Range Rover, wearing nice clothes, walks up to the front door, yada, yada, yada. It's like noon. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I wonder what he's doing. And then on the way back, I said, you know what? I'm going to ask him a question right now. I was like, so I just walked up to him and I was like, hey, man, like, I'm really curious. I was like, I'm here. I'm about to go back to work. You know, you're coming to, it looks like you're doing a rehab. Are you a contractor? And he said, no, I flip. And then we really got into talking. And he was giving me some pointers and telling me how he's gotten to the business and all this. Went back upstairs, started talking with Jay. And then lo and behold,
I was right the whole time.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because the first thing that crossed my mind was how long did it take her to say, see, I told you we needed to get into real estate. Dude pulled up in a Range Rover and dressed nice. He ain't rolling a paintbrush.
Yeah. It wasn't long, brother. As soon as she got the chance to tell me, that was it. So once
awesome.
we go back upstairs and we're talking, and Jay wound up meeting a realtor, I don't know, at probably like a month prior to that. So we reached out to the realtor and said, hey, look, we want to see if we could buy a rental property, because thinking that's the only way to get into real estate is let's buy a rental, right? So we wind up going out on the market, getting a conventional loan, buying a small rental. Now, this is all within 2 months. It was like that one conversation. It was
Rapid
like,
fire.
Boom.
Yeah.
Bought a first rental. We still have it today here in North Philly.
Nice.
Rented it out, depleted all of our savings, had literally almost nothing. And we're like, all right, what's next? And then from there, it really started snowballing, because, again, there was a need for something. And that need was, okay, we don't have cash. We can't buy anything else. We're enjoying it. And it's showing that it could be fruitful. What do we do now? Right. So from there, we wind up going to a online meetup, because it was, again, during COVID, and we were in breakout sessions, and, you know, we wind up meeting our coaches and kind of just snowball effect from there.
So now that that program that you guys jumped into initially, that was a different real estate program than like Sub 2, obviously, you know.
Yes.
You know, we're all in the Sub 2 mentorship, so that was a different program that you were in before.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, back then we didn't know about Sub 2, or we never really heard of Pace Morby, just because we were getting into it. And we wind up meeting our coaches in the breakout room, and that was a separate coaching program. And at the time, they weren't coaching. Their names are Jen and Joe, and at the time they weren't coaching. But we asked them. We said, "Look, like, we really like what you're doing." They had a breakout session about creative finance. And we said, look, if we were to pay you, would you be interested in coaching? And they said, you know what? Yeah, sure. Let's try it. And lo and behold, we wound up being their first students. So we started with them in April of 21. And then from there, right around April, this is kind of crazy. So April, right? So we went from not really wanting to be in real estate, buying a rental property, hiring a coach. 2 months after hiring a coach, we decided, okay, well, we have this vision that we're going to do this full time, and we now see that we have a path. What are we going to do? Let's end our lease at our apartment and go live with my mom for 6 months.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
That was crazy.
What is it? Is it one of those defense mechanisms where your like brain automatically blocks out like traumatic periods of life?
Yes, absolutely.
That was a crazy time, man.
There's awesome.
Heat of the summer, me and Jay were working out of her garage. And then on top of that, it's me, Jay, the dog, my mom, and she lives in a 2-family house. So we were all on the one apartment, you want to call it, together. And
needless to say, the garage was my favorite place in the world.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I've told people plenty of times, you know, like sometimes it's come up like joking around with the kids and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, I love my mom a lot. She's my mom. She's awesome, but I don't want to live with her. I'm all set. Like, I'm a 40-year-old man. You know, it's nothing about pride or anything like that. It's just,
you can't go back, dude.
I
Once
don't
you
know,
leave, you
set in
can't
my
go back.
ways, you know. Yeah, yeah. You know, you're just used to being in your own space and doing what you want when you want. It's like your mom's always gonna be your mom. You know, it's like, no,
Yep.
I'm all set.
Yeah.
No.
About 1 month
So
in. Go ahead, Ed.
yeah, you were tapped out already after
Oh,
1
yeah.
month.
After 1 month, I was like, oh my God.
So something that really stuck out to me just listening to, you know, everything you guys were just saying right now, that I believe in 100%. And I think it's something that maybe a lot of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs overlook or maybe don't realize the importance of it, but that's mentorship. Right. And so, uh, I've had multiple failed businesses in the past. I've owned a trucking company. I had a fitness apparel line. I've always been very, you know, business minded, you know, always been very much of that entrepreneur spirit. And so when Jenny and I decided to jump into real estate, that was something that I felt like I learned the hard way, right? Like learning from the bumps and bruises in past business ventures. And I told her, I was like, you know, this time around, I want to do it right. You know, I know that I need some mentorship, some guidance from people that have experience, you know, and that can kind of take me by the hand and show me, you know, what I need to do as I go along. And I'm still getting some bumps and bruises along the way, you know, because, you know, as we know, you got to fail forward, right? You got to take action and take chances and learn as you go. But what was it for you guys, right? What was it that stood out at that time in your life that really made you kind of be bold, right? Because you went out of your way to offer somebody, you know, your hard-earned cash, like, hey, I will pay you money to teach me what you know, you know. So what I mean, and to me, that's super impressive. A lot of people don't have that sort of I'll say humility, right? Because it took humility for you guys to say, I know that I don't know what I don't know, right? And I want to learn. I want to learn from you. I want to ride your coattails. I want you to hold my hand and I'm willing to pay you money, right? You saw value in it, right? So, you know, what was it for you guys that you know, kind of clicked, you know, or that aha moment where you were like, you know what, this is the way that we want to go about kind of undertaking this business and learning this?
I think it really came from a couple things. One, it was just kind of the timing of everything, right? Like we had a little bit of pressure on us that we had to move a little bit quicker because we were trying to get somewhere faster because of things that were going on. But on
Mhm.
top of that, the past, I think right around that time, probably for the prior 6, 7 months, we were reading Bigger Pockets books. We were trying to learn the burst strategy. We were reaching out to hard money lenders, like trying to follow like the cookie cutter example of what you see a lot of in terms of real estate investing,
Right.
and we weren't getting anywhere.
Mhm.
We tried doing our own mailers at one point. We tried cold calling, miserably failed because we didn't know what we were doing. And then after a while, you know, me and Jay, we did look at each other and we said, look, we just went to college for 4 years, paid a crap load of money to go and do work for somebody else. Why why did we feel like it was normal for us to pay a university all this money to go learn something when we're looking to excel at something else?
Right.
Just kind of went back to like the normal thought process that we all are ingrained in our heads is you need schooling in order to succeed somewhere. And
Right.
that's really what it came down to. Um, because we realized that we were going on a train nowhere fast if we just continue down the road of trial and error.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there who have the type of ability to go on YouTube, read books, do this, and really excel. But you also have to know your learning strategy or
Right.
style, right? So, like both of us, our learning style is not that. We won't really retain the information properly. We need somebody to give us a checklist and for somebody to sit down with us and tell us, hey, look, this is what you do, this is what you don't do.
Someone to coach you through those actionable steps, right?
That's
Right.
the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And I think you're right. Um, you know, so many people go to college, right? Or even go to a trade school, right? Whether you want to be a mechanic, a plumber, a welder, you know, if you're going the college route, you want to be an accountant, an attorney, whatever it may be. And we pay tons of money to learn how to do those things. And, you know, there's a bunch of people that think, well, I can just learn real estate watching YouTube. Like, well, I mean, you can, but it, you know, at some point, I feel like you're going to plateau, right?
Yep.
And I kind of equate it a lot like sports. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I love sports. I played a lot of sports growing up, and I still have that competitive spirit in me. You know, even though I'm a 40-year-old man, and and you know, if you're a competitive athlete, you will never be able to push yourself hard or harder than a coach would be able to push you. You know, and it's like, you know, if you think about the top athletes in the world, whether it be now or any time in our past, you know, Tiger Woods had a swing coach, right? Michael Jordan had coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists, you know, MMA fighters, boxers. You know, they have a ton of people in their camp. They have, you know, boxing coaches, MMA coaches, you know, jujitsu coaches, and all of these things. So, yeah, no, I think that's phenomenal. And I applaud you guys for, you know, kind of seeing that and and being able to put that into action and having the boldness to you know, to just step out of your comfort zone and just be like, hey, will you coach me? I mean, I think that's awesome. Yeah.
I would say the biggest thing for anybody that's like listening, or for anybody who's like newer too, is just if you can be honest with yourself about what you need, then it's very easy to be honest with the world about what it is that you need from it and that you need to take away, right? And it's okay to
Right.
be humble, and it's okay to say I need help, but what you need to do is now go find that help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even till this day, this morning we were actually booking consultation calls with business coaches, because
Nice.
now we're at the point where we've learned what we can about creative finance, but now there's a whole nother side, right? If you want to turn it into a true business, how do you scale, right? How do you continue to grow?
Right.
So you always want to be a student of the game, or a student of anything that
Right.
you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. And I I watched a really interesting reel. I think it was like maybe yesterday or the day before. It was Ryan Pineda, and he was talking about the approach that he takes whenever he's trying to learn something new. And what he says is that he basically blocks out everything else and does a deep dive and just hyper focuses on just that one thing, you know. And he was giving an example of his most recent conference that he was planning, and he said this was the first time that he took over the marketing and actually did the marketing for the event himself. In the past, he paid marketing companies, and he said this time they had the highest ROI ever. And he was like, you know, I probably spent $100,000 on courses and books and training and paying, you know, other people to learn what they know, and just hyper, like I said, hyper focused on just learning that, you know. And it's exactly like you said, you know, you guys know creative finance, and now it's uh more of becoming even better. I say even better because I from what I can see, I think you guys are already damn good, but even better business owners, right? And get even better at running your business and scaling your business and learning how to, you know, blow it up to the next levels, right?
Absolutely, man. And that's exactly what it is. And in terms of like having that laser focus, having your horse blinders on, you want to call it, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be for you, right? Just making sure that you're focusing on one thing at a time. The shiny object syndrome, the shinier the object is, the more likely you are to going to go towards it. But
Yeah.
if you're not looking at it, or you're not looking around the room, it's easy to just focus on that one task and master it. Once you master it, then let's continue to go down that road.
And I do want to say that shiny object syndrome most of the time comes from comparison, right? You compare yourself to
Yeah.
other people and their journey. And what people need to understand is that your journey is not that person's journey. Your journey is completely different. So if you can focus yourself on the one thing that you think is what's going to excel you, then do that and don't get distracted.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to do that. And I think even more so in today's society where it's in our face all day, every day. You can pick up your phone at any given moment and see somebody on your feed that's freaking rocking it in one thing or another. And
Yep.
it's so easy to be like, well, that's the thing. That why am I doing what I should be doing that? And then 5 minutes later, you see somebody else like, wait, no, that's the thing I need to be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Now
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm gonna take the mic. What have you been up to, brother? How's everything been going? You still buying real estate? I'm curious.
Yeah, man. We're still buying. I think I'll probably be buying for, maybe another good 20, 30 years or something.
Awesome.
um, but yeah, last year was mostly focused on well, last year was an interesting year because uh believe it or not, I don't know if we got into this before, but last year was my first year in real estate. I started learning on YouTube the end of 2022, right? It was, like the fall. So the beginning of last year was, a lot, to be honest, a lot of that shiny object syndrome, kind of figuring out, really which direction I wanted to go in and where I wanted to place the majority of my focus. I think I figured that out probably about halfway through the year and, had some really good success on the second half a year. We ended up acquiring 12 properties
Wow.
by the total last year. Actually, it was 10 properties, 13 doors over the course of 2023. And so the basically all of our deals except for one, except for two, came from wholesalers, right? One of them being from you guys, of course. And so going into now, right? Fast forwarding into 2024, my focus right now is really building out my team, my wholesaling operation, and really deep diving into you know uh getting our own leads, getting our own properties and not really having to you know rely on wholesalers as much, right? And obviously getting some of that, quick money in our pockets here and there, with some nice wholesale fees, and cherry picking the properties that we want and keeping them for ourselves. So that's the focus for this year.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
So what are
Try-
in terms of you building right now, what are you guys building up to? You trying to do a virtual team, in person? Everybody does it different. 'Cause-
yeah, so I mean, it'll be virtual, but we're not using any, like overseas VAs or anything like that. So number one, we're trying to really dial in our, you know the systems and the processes as much as possible. Obviously nowadays we have access to such amazing and powerful, systems. I don't know what you guys use for a CRM, but we use Open Dispo. I don't know if you guys know Rick Sheldon, right? So we use Open Dispo, and it's amazing. I mean, it's a freaking powerhouse. The functionality in that CRM is amazing. So we're just, we're working with Rick to really dial that in and try to get our efficiency and our speed really dialed in as best possible. We have actually some young local wholesalers that are here in Connecticut that want to learn, and so we're bringing them on as cold callers. So those will kind of be, who we're using for our outreach. Got our website up and running, and so yeah, man, we're. I think eventually we will probably transition to VAs, but right now I think that's it's a good opportunity for us to not have to come out of pocket, before we even have a deal, right? It's kind of as they say, eat what you kill, right? So they'll get a percentage of whatever deals, they bring to the table, and then Yeah, I mean, and it, it gives us an opportunity to impart some knowledge and skill onto some some really awesome young guys that are motivated and hungry. So I enjoy that aspect of it as well. Um, I haven't been in real estate a whole long time, but I have a lot of experience being on the phones and being in front of people. I don't remember if I told you guys this, but I've been an Army recruiter for 17 years.
Yep.
So, I've been, getting on the phones with people and talking to guidance counselors and coaches and teachers and parents and stuff like that for a long time. People tell me to kick rocks and all that. So I got thick skin, I don't get offended easily. And I have, some of those skill sets that I can, help impart onto other people. So I enjoy that aspect of it as well.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
huge thing. Um,
Yeah.
and
Appreciate it, man.
I was curious just because, like I said, everybody does it different. And we utilize VAs, which is a lot different than you utilizing local cold callers.
Hmm.
But I will say this just from experience, if you really want to build a strong team for longevity, having them local and having them with you is definitely better in terms of retention and all that stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
For in-state people.
Yeah, for in-state, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for proximity, right? Somebody that you can meet up for lunch, have face-to-face meetings here and there. And, you know, even if you're going to hang out and, you know, watching fights or whatever, getting your spouse together, getting your kids together, having a barbecue, whatever it may be, I think there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep. So from starting out, just you two, grinding that out in the garage, right? at mom's house. At what point did you guys start to add people to the team and really start to scale, and adding 2, 3, 4, 5 people to the team to the point where you are now?
So we're going to get real headfirst into failing forward real quick. So, after mom's garage, we wind up buying the house that we're in right now. It's a 2-family house hacked,
Okay.
cut the living expenses. And that right around, I would say, January of 22, right? Yeah, January of 22.
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. We had done anywhere, I think, right around like 6 or 7 deals. Most all of them were creative. We wholesaled and we kept 2 out of those 6. And at that point, we were like, okay, we're working full time. Still, we're at this point, we're still working. How are we going to continue being consistent while still having a whole job that we have to do on the side as well, right? Because the business was actually our main focus, and the W-2 was was the side thing, honestly,
I
at
hear
that
that.
point. So we decided to go into just like local Facebook groups. And at that point, I think we had put something out, and I think it was either the Pace Morby group or the Seller Financing Homes group, one of the 2 bigger ones, right?
Mhm.
Just saying that, hey, we're looking for somebody who's hungry, wants to come work commission and learn how to invest in real estate. We had brought a couple acquisitionists on, and we taught them our style and how we get leads and all that, and how to run our scripts and talk with them. After about 2 months, one of them lost their hunger, right? About a couple months later, after that, the second one learned everything from us and decided to leave and go do his own thing, which is
Mhm.
like props to him. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
And along the way, the biggest thing that we learned is, okay, we have the skills to do deals, but we don't know anything about hiring people or
Mm.
team retention or team culture. How do you
Or even structure, like those
Correct.
processes weren't
Right.
there.
We had nothing.
There was no like retention, right? For these hires.
Yep. So basically, for about 6 months, from January till June, we had gone through like 6 or 7 different acquisitionists. And the first 2, we were unsure of what had happened. And every single time we kept getting better, but we kept realizing that their hunger kept going away. And then we looked into it and we really dug deep and we stopped looking for people to bring on the team. And we realized that we weren't creating a place where people really wanted to work. It wasn't fun. We didn't have a great team culture. We didn't have daily team meetings to keep people accountable, right? So failing forward taught us a lot of stuff about not only how to do deals in the real estate world, but also how to be a business owner, train
Mm-hmm.
people, and keep them happy, right? Because
Right.
then we started to think about, well, what if we were in their shoes? Would we have liked working for us? So those are some things that we had to do. And then that summer, we wind up bringing on one full acquisitionist again, and they were with us for quite some time. But on top of that, we wind up adding a virtual assistant.
Mm.
And the virtual assistant really helped get rid of the monotonous tasks, which we had gotten feedback from our prior acquisitionist was some of the things that they really didn't like. So we let the VA take the monotonous tasks, the low-lying fruit, and gave the
Mm-hmm.
acquisitionist the opportunity to really go out there and talk with the sellers and negotiate. And then we really started to see things blossom and move forward. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've you hear a lot of people say it, often, people that are phenomenal leaders, that are phenomenal business owners, and they talk about giving people that drive, or that thing, right? That it's more than just a paycheck, more than just, hey, we want to go get deals. There has to be some sort of reason behind what we do. Giving them a purpose, right? A strong sense of purpose. And obviously that's super important. And like you said, you guys figured that out, the hard way, which oftentimes those are the best lessons that are learned. And not only are you guys better for it, but you know there are so many other people that are going to be better for it. And that actually brings me right into one of the things that I definitely wanted to jump into with you guys, right? So obviously you've taken all of these lessons that you've learned along the way. You've had some ups, you've had some downs, you had some challenges, and obviously you've had some really some great success up until this point that you've learned how to replicate and sustain over time, right? So um at what point did you guys get into coaching? I know you guys have taken on some of your own mentees, and your coaching, and I see this stuff that you guys post, and I can tell that you guys are passionate about it, and you really celebrate their wins with that, which I think is just so awesome. So talk to me about that. How'd you guys get into being coaches yourselves?
absolutely. So I would say, like, right last summer, this one that just passed, we had a few people that were reaching out and saying, Mike Jay, like, I'd love to talk to you guys about what you do. How can I learn? And then we realized that when we started, right, there were so many things that we weren't taught, or we didn't learn, or maybe it just didn't click for us, from not only the deals and learning all the types of creative financing and how to negotiate, but we're talking like legal structure,
Mm.
bookkeeping, accounting,
All the unsexy
the
things that
unsexy.
that
Yeah.
coaches don't really teach.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just kept seeing other, like, from our failures, right? Failing forward was that, we want to help people be proactive in their business and not really treat it like a side hustle. Like, if your goal is really to leave your W-2, create generational wealth, or even if it's not leaving your W-2, it's having that expectation that your rental portfolio is a business, right?
Mhm.
And if you structure it well, you can sell that like package deal. But or you can, give it down to your generational wealth, but you don't want to give a pile of, the word,
Hot
down to
garbage.
your
Yeah.
down to your kids, right? Like a
Yeah.
hot mess that they don't know what to do with. You want it to be one sustainable so that it can continue to be passed down.
Mhm.
Um, so how do you do that, right? And that's putting all the elements of a business together to be able to do that. It's not just, hey, let me learn the BRRRR strategy. Let me learn how to buy a rental. Let me learn how to do short-term rental. Like, yes, those are strategies that you can specialize in, but it's still a business. And we realized that quickly, and people aren't realizing that.
Yeah. And like late spring last year, early summer, we were having a lot of people book like one-on-one 1 hour calls with us, right? And at the time we didn't have coaching, but they would come on, they'd have a list of questions and we'd get through it. And then by the end of the call, we almost felt like there was just not enough of time to get through what we wanted to with them. And we almost felt like they're just going to have to keep asking more questions. And it's not fair, to have somebody come on and pay 10 different hours. Right. And we realized there's a need. There's certain things that people kept asking about, whether it was how to find a tenant buyer for a rent to own, or how to find free leads for your business, whatever it may be. So we decided to kind of sit down and say, hey, what if we did offer some sort of coaching? Maybe it's just a very small scale for the time being. And we put together a little course curriculum on basically how to structure your business from ground zero to your first creative finance deal all the way through closing. So we had a couple people who reached out. We brought them on, and right now we do one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
Instead of like small group or anything like that. We brought them on. After a few months, both of them had already done a deal, and they were in the process of closing on their first creative finance deal. And as we kept going, they were like, well, Mike and Jay, like, I want to turn this into a business now. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, it's a lot of fun. So at that point, we then added more to kind of what we were doing. And we then added how to start a CRM, how to hire VAs, how to delegate, how to hire people and keep the retention there, right? And then how to be consistent. And then from there, we've really just been telling people what we're doing. And we now have like about 10 students. And it's really fun. Like, it's outside of anything else. Like, when your student comes to you and they tell you, hey guys, we got a lead. I'm on the phone. We're negotiating this property. And then they tell you they got the contract. Like, that feeling, like, we don't have kids yet, but it's like proud dad moment, right? Like,
Yep. It's funny you say that, because that's exactly what was going through my mind. Right. I have enough kids for me and for you guys.
Yeah.
and yeah, like I said, I love sports. Right. And watching my kids do sports and compete and do stuff, when they win, it's for me way more satisfying than anytime I ever won doing anything. It's an amazing feeling, especially when you see them exactly like, the same exact thing is with coaching, right? As a parent, when you see your child implement something successfully that you taught them, it's like, holy crap, they were listening. It worked, and now they're winning. It's amazing.
Yep, that's exactly it. And it's so cool because everybody's on their own journey. So some people do it faster than others, and some people want to learn different things than others. But every single time somebody's hitting that checkpoint and they're succeeding and they're gaining traction, and every single student has the same stage. They're excited, then they get in the grit, and they're like, oh my God, this is really hard. And then they gain the traction and they start taking off. And their smile is like priceless.
The cool part is that we went through that not long ago, so we can still relate. We're not far removed, right?
Right.
So those aha moments, I'm like, dang, like that aha moment. I remember when I had that.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. That makes sense for sure. So you guys have an interesting dynamic, which I live it as well, right? Because me and my wife are business partners, and there are so many people, and I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times. There's so many people that are like, man, I would never work with my wife. I would never work with my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, fiance, whatever. Like, And I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's great. I mean, obviously, you know, it depends on your personality types, and everybody's different. There's probably some people that shouldn't be working together.
Yeah.
Um, but so like I'm curious how you guys kind of split up your roles, right? So like, you know, obviously Jenny's a TC and she's, you know, more down that road, and I'm more, you know, in you know, face to face with people and underwriting deals and looking for deals and negotiating and stuff like that. So kind of I'm curious as to what different roles you guys focus on more individually.
It's funny because a lot of our students are also couples. I
Yep.
Oh,
think
okay.
majority. But and we do teach roles, right? Like,
How do you find your roles
yeah,
and
how do you
define them?
find your role and define
Hmm.
them? We start off with, obviously you both are going to be doing the same thing. um, but you start falling into those roles of like who's better at what, and it's okay if
Yep.
one person's better at the other, and then you stay quite literally in your lane, right?
Hmm.
Yep.
I
When
don't get into his stuff, he doesn't get into my stuff, and
when we started, we were both doing everything together because we had no clue who was good at
Right.
what, where we were going to fall. But we realized quickly that I'm very unorganized and I should not be handling anything operations. And Jay, on the other hand, never liked talking on the phone with sellers. You know, she did, but couldn't stand it. So that's my playground. So right now, basically what the business looks like in terms of roles is I handle all the acquisitions. I work with the VAs in terms of talking with sellers and negotiating and locking deals down. And then Jay on the back end basically makes sure that everything is running smoothly and
operations,
the whole nine.
hiring, everything.
Yeah. So Jay's basically created our whole onboarding process, making sure all of our systems, our technology is working correctly, running our team meetings, making sure that we're hitting certain checkpoints that we need to. Um,
We always say the way that we run our business is like we don't like to hire it out and not know how to do it, right?
Hmm.
So if that person leaves, what are you going to do?
Right.
Right? Then you're in a bind. So even when I hire someone or even when I'm implementing something new, I'm the first, and all of our team members know that. Like Jay knows how to do it first, and they'll come to me asking me like, how do I do this? Right? Just because you want to be the expert, right?
Hmm.
And be able to pass that off and give them that process the way that you want them to run it.
and it really came down to, again, from being a hot mess like a year and a half ago of just like messy action, you want to call it, to
Hmm.
now I can't take any recognition for this, but Jay's built out SOPs for every single part of the business down to specific like email templates that we send out for, say, whatever it may be, escrow or to an attorney or to a tenant buyer, um, whatever it may be, right? So it's streamlined because the overall goal is for us to be able to start to step back in our roles and hire
Right.
people to step into them. So when
Right.
you do that, it makes it easier.
I want to travel more.
So what I'm hearing here is, Mike, you get to talk to people, and Jay actually makes the business run.
Correct. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah.
It
I
sounds very
have,
much like the Cortez household.
yeah. I just have the mouth that never stops, and she has the brain
Uh,
that pushes it all.
hey, somebody's got to have the brains, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. That's phenomenal. So at this point, right? Obviously, you guys have done some awesome stuff. You're into coaching. You're, you know, um, what would you guys say is, and I'd like to get one individually from each of you. What would you say is like the biggest kind of like lesson learned, biggest takeaway, or like the biggest key to success, you know, that you would share and probably, you know, obviously have shared with your students? You know, for those of you that are listening, you're going to get a little bit of free game right now that, you know, that Mike and Jay's students get. But, you know, what would you guys share with anybody that's listening? You know, like I said, kind of like your biggest takeaway, your biggest key to success, that you have, kind of picked up along the way so far over the last 3 years?
You want to go first?
Sure. For me, it would just be as straightforward as ask logical questions. I think so many people get niched down to, well, this person told me to do this, so I'm just going to do it, right? I'm going to take that messy action where for us, that messy action, yes, we failed forward, but looking back, if we would have just even been in the red just a little, real estate could be something that excels you or puts you in a hole.
Yep.
So just asking those just logical questions of like, why am I doing this? Is this the right way? And yes, doing what your coach tells you to do. But if something in your gut tells you that's not right, that doesn't work for me, don't just do it because they're telling you to do it.
Yep. And then I would say, make for anybody who's listening, who's new, getting started, currently working and feeling like they're not getting the traction they need, I want you to focus on one thing. So just to give you guys an idea, we started off with the sole focus that we wanted to lock in creative financing deals. We weren't going out looking for distressed properties we can get for cash and wholesale them. We were specifically going out there, finding sellers, having them reach out to us instead of doing cold calling and text blasting. So having one marketing channel to start, mastering that, talking with those sellers and mastering what it is that we're really good at, which was negotiating creative finance deals, helping sellers out of foreclosure, and doing all like the intricacies behind that. And then from there, once you master that one thing and you're gaining consistency, then start to look at the different avenues and the different things that other people are doing and start to incorporate them. But for anybody who's starting, whatever that may be, focus on that one thing. You want to be a flipper, then master being a flipper, figure out how to raise private money, try and find your deals. Same thing with cash wholesalers, and same thing with people who are looking to get into creative finance. If you do it all at once, you're going to get nowhere fast. So just focus on that one goal, right? Work towards it. And once you master it, move on to the next.
Can I piggyback off of that? That also takes time, right? You're not going to become a millionaire overnight. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the misconception. It's funny. I was joking around about this with somebody earlier today. A lot of people have the misconception when they're maybe coming from a W-2 into entrepreneurship that, oh, I'm gonna own my own business, and now I'm not gonna have to work. I'm just gonna, like, other people are just gonna do stuff and I'm gonna make money, and little did they know you're gonna work more than you ever did in your life at your W-2.
That's damn straight.
But at least you're working in your own business, right? And you're building something that you can be proud of, hopefully, right? You're building something that you can leave a legacy and hopefully pass that along to, maybe your kids or grandkids or whatever, whoever comes after you. So it's definitely worth it. Yeah. But no, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your knowledge, right? Ask questions, staying focused. Those are phenomenal tips. And I agree with that 100%. I've made those mistakes, right? Maybe not asking enough questions sometimes and learning the hard way because something comes up after the fact, right? A little bit of that shiny object syndrome and not staying as focused as I should. So I think that's phenomenal advice. I appreciate that very much. And I know that's something that is easily implementable. I don't even know if that's a word. Maybe I made it up, but it sounded right? Whatever.
I'll take it.
act as if, right?
Yeah.
But it's easy to implement, and it's probably easier said than done, but it's not it's not a super complex concept, right? It's very simple. But like I said before, you got to have the humility to accept that you don't know what you don't know, and don't be too proud to ask questions when you don't understand something, and have that focus. So I appreciate you guys coming on. This was awesome. I really enjoyed getting to know you guys a bit more. Congratulations on everything that you guys have done up until this point. And I can tell you firsthand, you guys are doing it right, because just from, right. So from my perspective, um, the deal that we did together, it was one of the best deals that I ever did. And I don't say that, I don't say stuff just to blow smoke up people's butts, and I don't say that just because you guys are on. I mean that 100%. It was phenomenal. And the way that you guys work, you're honest. And I know that you genuinely care and look out for your sellers, which is a great thing. So I'm not surprised that you guys have had the success that you have had up until this point. And I'm 100% sure that that success will continue to just multiply, over and over and over again. And I'm super excited for your coaching, for your coaching clients, because they are, you know learning from some of the best in the game. They are learning from some of the best in the game, and I mean that 100%. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. I want you guys to take a second and just let everybody know where we can find you on social media, on all the channels. And also definitely let us know where we can find you if somebody's interested in coaching, if they're looking to get a consultation, or maybe see if what you guys are teaching is a good fit for them. Let everybody know where they can find Mike and Jay.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Roman with Mike.
And I'm Roman with Jay on Instagram. Roman is our dog, by the way.
And if there's anybody who's listening who wanted to talk about potentially doing some coaching or anything like that, you guys can just shoot us a text. Mm-hmm. We have a shared number. It's 267-819-2539. Just shoot us a text.
Awesome. And I don't know if that's the number I have saved for you, but if it's not, I will put that number down in the description box here so people can pull it up on YouTube. Do you guys have a website for your business, for your coaching business? What do you guys got?
Yep. So our website is romanscreativeacademy.com.
Awesome.
Yep. And if you want to find us on YouTube, we put weekly videos out to try and give us a ton of free knowledge as we can. It's Romans Creative Academy on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I'll plug those links down into the description as well. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. And guys, don't hesitate. Reach out to them. Follow them on social media. Like Mike said, there's a ton of free game that they're putting out consistently. You won't regret it. And if you're looking for coaching, they're the ones. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, brother.